Hey everybody, welcome to today's edition of NDD. I'm Pete Mulroy, and I opened today's program with a story you may have seen pop across your feed yesterday. I saw it via Sports Illustrated, and it concerns Pro Football Focus's ranking of the top collegiate football coaches in the country. PFF has grown and grown and grown through the age of statistics and people just wanting more and more football each and every day in their lives, and you have that fantasy aspect as well. But they rate players just like they rate coaches on the pro and collegiate levels. And looking at this top 10 list that they put out, it shouldn't really be much of a surprise that Georgia's Kirby Smart was at the top. 9 seasons, 100-plus wins, 2 titles, 4 CFP appearances. All right, that's cool. Ryan Day came in at number 2. It's hard to really argue that, at least now. I know he's had the miscues the last couple of seasons against Michigan, but he is coming off a national title victory, as we know, so you can have your opinions there. I mean, if Day gets another title this year, which I think is in the cards for Ohio State, they're going to be very good once again. Maybe he makes that leap up a PFF list and replaces Smart there as they go 1-2 in reverse. Where I found the list interesting was more toward the middle of the top 10. I didn't have too much of an issue with Dabo Swinney from Clemson slotting in at number 3, but Dan Lanning of Oregon coming in at number 4, ahead of Marcus Freeman, who slotted in at number 5, is a bit surprising to me. I think we've had similar conversations with lists that are similar to this in the past. I get that Lanning ran through the Big Ten last season, but the Ducks looked horrible in the college football playoff with their loss to Ohio State, the entire game from top to bottom. Well, you had Freeman, on the other hand, remarkable campaign, spearheaded by a 7-1 record against AP-ranked teams. The lone blemish, of course, coming against Ohio State in a near come-from-behind in the national championship game. Texas A&M, Louisville, ranked Army and Navy squads during the regular seasons, and playoff wins over Georgia, Indiana, Penn State. And you talk about having one of the best seasons in Notre Dame football program history. That's true, but it was the best season from a wins output in a single season, with Notre Dame going 14-2. And again, while not a big deal by any stretch of the imagination, I think you could seriously make an argument that Freeman should be in that top 4, maybe even top 3 if you disagree with how I feel about Dabo. Rounding out the list, Steve Sarkisian of Texas, Kalen DeBoer of Alabama. I'm sure people will be up in arms about that. James Franklin came in behind him with Brian Kelly right there. Franklin and Kelly on a list like this will certainly generate some buzz and opinions. And then Indiana's Curt Cignetti rounded out the top 10. So let the banter begin. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments to share how you feel about this version of the PFF college coaching top 10, with Marcus Freeman, a top 5 guy, coming in at number 5. Continue these freshman profiles today. The last 2 I'm going to do with the freshmen on defense are 2 guys. I mean, you're excited on varying levels about all of them, from an immediate insertion into the lineup or as developmental players and what they mean to the future. The next 2 guys I'm going to talk about, Jadon Blair and Mark Zachary, tomorrow, are guys that I think are really, really exciting and cornerstone-type guys. In Blair, 6'5", 200-pound safety from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Mount Tabor High School alum, consensus 4-star recruit in the 25 class, top 60 recruit nationally coming out of high school, and he was a top 3 player in all of North Carolina, regardless of position, 2-sport athlete, football and basketball, and you love the idea that he chose Notre Dame over perennial powers in Penn State, South Carolina, Florida State, Michigan, and other top-flight programs. It seemed like everyone during his recruitment, that is, of Jadon Blair, was kicking the tires on his services, but got down to the final grouping fairly quickly and pretty much fell in love with Notre Dame in rather fair fashion. At 6'5", and with great speed, this is a kid who brings a unique frame to South Bend, and one that's going to allow him to cover great lengths of the field. Ability to match up with both larger receivers and tight ends is always a huge plus. He's got it. And he's going to be doing that for a Notre Dame team that relies on speed and physicality on the back end. So he is your ideal fit as a recruit. He brings that frame, he brings the IQ, the athleticism, which is what they've been looking for. And we've seen that in the 25 class, which is now on the roster, the incoming 26, and then already what they've started to do with a few commitments and then offers in that 27 class. Even kicking the tires on that 28 class, if you can believe it. As far as this season, this one's fairly clear-cut. Blair's going to play. You don't often see something with the combo size and speed and strength this quickly at the collegiate level. And Blair undeniably benefited from being an early enrollee at Notre Dame. A fluid and physical downhill safety. Having this kid's presence on the depth chart, even as a true freshman, in something, and they always are, a developmental role, is an incredible asset for a defense that is expected to be one of the best in the country. And I think we would all agree with that, especially coming on the heels of last year. And the great thing here with Blair, you talk about that versatility and ability to go sideline to sideline, drop back, play different positions. While he does profile as a free safety, the option of bringing Blair closer to the line of scrimmage is something that is very much on the table again, given his size, strength, speed, and overall athleticism. Playing that nickel linebacker spot is something we could see sooner rather than later as well. Now you'll have Luke Talich and Jalen Stroman likely commanding most of the looks at the field safety spot, but due to all the reasons I mentioned, Blair should slot in right behind him. And again, his maneuverability around the football field makes him a great tool to have in the box for Chris Ash, Mike Mickens, and Marcus Freeman. So I think this is it was one of the bigger signings when it happened, but you're talking about developmentally, even in an early impactful role, while still be able to grow in size and experience, and then anchoring a secondary in the years to come. I mean, you talk about some of the guys that are on the roster already, these young, talented freshmen, Chris Burgess up front. We talked about Dallas Golden. You got incoming guys like Joey O'Brien. So the future for that defensive secondary, even with guys like Carson Hobbs, a really good-looking sophomore, the future is unbelievably bright. And not just because you have depth, but because you have depth in talent, which is something that isn't always the combination, but Notre Dame certainly has it at multiple groups, and the safeties and the linebackers also stand out to me. And obviously this year's running back room. Want to wrap with a cool story that I saw yesterday. We know how great of a player former Notre Dame linebacker Jaylon Smith was during his time in South Bend. And now we're learning that he's a damn good entrepreneur as well. This week, a featured report on WSBT in South Bend highlighted the fact that while Smith continues to prep for what's going to be his 10th season in the NFL as a member of the Las Vegas Raiders this time around, it's actually his second go-around with the Raiders, he's grown his entrepreneurship in the restaurant industry. And the former Irish star set to open a new Japanese ramen restaurant on the Eddy Street Commons, which is basically right across the street from the university, down the street from the Dome. It's really grown and blossomed into a must-see, must-sit, must-eat, must-drink location, those Commons, and it's created great vibe, camaraderie, and socialization in the South Bend area, which extends far beyond just Notre Dame and Notre Dame athletics. The establishment's going to be known as Jinya Ramen Bar, which is set to open this week in South Bend, of course. Smith starred for the Irish from 2013 through 15 before being selected by the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the 2016 NFL Draft. Injuries late in his career at Notre Dame and then throughout his NFL career hindered him, but the production in South Bend, he's an Irish legend, one of the best linebackers they've ever had, and he's put together a fairly solid, even with the injuries, fairly solid pro career. I will actually be out in South Bend this year for the Purdue game, maybe a couple others if I get the weekend time. So I'll definitely be trying this place out. So that's a nice tip of the cap to Jaylon Smith, really taking everything he learned at the University of Notre Dame, the social skills he has, entrepreneurship, and now becoming a restaurateur and building his own restaurant right across the street, literally, from where he went to college at the University of Notre Dame. More freshman profiles. We close out defense tomorrow, and then we'll flip to offense next week. Wherever you are, I hope you have a great rest of yours. And as always, go Irish.